Hello, YouTube. Today I have a bit of a special video. I've been spending the past few days just farming up a ludicrous amount of FE, and as you can see here, this is what the ludicrous amount of FE was spent on. Purchased Nether King's Divinity Contamination for 70,000 FE. Now, what crazy demonic slate could possibly be worth 70,000 FE? Let me show you. So we have this Nether King's Divinity Contamination. It has the fixed chance node to add bolt-based damage and additional damage to you and your minions. Kind of irrelevant. I would prefer if this wasn't set spell aggression, because I don't really... Spell aggression gives me additional cast speed, which is really good on my build. I had to like mess around with my slates to get the cast speed back that I lost from this. And then brand hand nodes. 40% additional damage on critical strike, +1 to all skill levels. When contamination is active and statue of the new god is an empty slot, plus 3% projection effect. Now you might be wondering, like, what exactly does this mean? Like, what does the slate actually do? And it's a bit of a strong one, let's say that. So the contamination slate is, well, it projects its effect onto the slates around it. You know, that's its whole niche, that's the whole thing that it's supposed to do. So it projects all brand talents from the Nether King's Divinity onto directly adjacent Divinity slates. Minus 80% effect for projected talents. So you see that and you're like, oh, well, that seems pretty, okay, interesting. And then if we have this mod here that gives us plus 30% projection effect, now all of a sudden we are projecting the mods that you see here, these branded mods, at 50% of their value. But Torchlight's a weird game. Because in Torchlight, if you have plus level of skills and you project it at 50%, it rounds up to 1 skill level. So every single slate that you see that's glowing here has this projection from this Divinity slate on it. Which is 7% additional cold damage on critical strike. This is the cold damage mod that we see here. And it is at minus 30% effect. +1 to all skill levels. Minus 50, so it's 0.5, but it rounds up, so it's back to 1. Yeah. This one has it. This one has it. This one has it. This one. This one. This one. This one. Every single slate that you see listed here, all 8 of these slates touching this contamination are giving me +1 to all skill levels and 7% additional damage on cold critical strike. And on top of that, we also have this moth, which is giving me, we also have this moth, which is giving me +4% additional damage on cold critical strike. And we have this prairie, which is then giving me +1 to all skill levels. So in total, this setup is giving me +10 to all skill levels. Which +10 to all skill levels is insane, as is. But I'm also playing an aura stacker. So when I have +10 to my swiftness, and +10 to my precise projectiles, and +10 to my frigid domain, my base auras are gaining 5% additional damage, which is then getting scaled up by all of my aura effect. Which is absolutely just ludicrous. It is so unbelievably powerful to get +10 levels on every single aura. Because every level gives 5% additional damage, and if you have like 100% aura effect, that's like 10% additional damage for every single aura that I have. On top of also giving plus levels to my tenacity, which gives me more convert, which doesn't really matter. Plus levels on my scorpion stinger, which is giving me more projectile speed, more attack and cast speed. Plus levels on my mana ball, which is giving me more additional spell damage when the skill lasts. Plus levels on my chromatic shot, my main skill. Plus levels on my support skill. Plus level on this support skill, which not the greatest support skills, I'll be honest with you. There are definitely other support skills that gain a lot more from plus levels than projectile penetration and GMP. Especially GMP, because it doesn't get like +3. If it got +3, that would be incredible. projectile penetration does actually get an extra penetration though, which is kind of nice. But that's just ludicrous. So I'm calculating every single plus level to being equivalent to being about 1.14% additional damage. So we have 1.14 to the power of 10, multiplied by then the 1.14 crit damage mod, like the additional cold damage. And we have that times 1 for Moth, multiplied by 1.07 to the power of 8. Yeah. This contamination slate is giving me times 8 damage. It is an 8x multiplier to my damage, and it's just taking up 3 slots. Not sure, it's technically taking up more than just 3 slots, because it is also forcing me to have an empty slot here. This empty slot is intended, that needs to be there. But this is like ridiculous amounts of power. This slate is like genuinely some of the most insane like power creep in the game. And you might be wondering like, okay, well, why is the slate 70k? You know, can I go and craft one of these myself? And let's just say I tried crafting my own slate before I bought this one for 70k. And we spent 40,000 FE. And in 40,000 FE, we did not hit step 1 of crafting this slate. I did get very unlucky. So step 1 of this slate is a 8 in 100, so 8% chance. And I believe we did in the range of 55 to 60 clicks. I lost exact count, but it was over 40,000 FE that we spent. Yeah. We had a 99% chance of hitting the mod, and we did not hit it in 40,000 FE, which is a bit of an unfortunate circumstance. So I was very slightly annoyed at that. But yeah, the process to craft this mod that I was going to follow is step 1. You're going to click this slate until you hit either +1 all or the projection mod, which this is 4% and this is a 4%. So in total it's 8% every click, 8% chance. And then once you hit either the projection mod or the +1 all mod, you're going to lock it. Now, locking it is a 1 in 3. So if you fail the lock, you go back to step 1, and you just start clicking until you hit one of the 2 mods, and then you lock it again. And then eventually when you have one of these 2 mods locked, in this slate, it's the all skills that's locked. What you're then going to do is, what I was going to do personally, is I was then going to click Goddess of Knowledge. So I was then going to click Goddess of Knowledge until I hit either plus spell level or until I hit plus cold level. And this was a 5.56% chance to hit either of those 2 mods. And then once I hit one of those 2 mods, I was then going to go back to using the Ultimate Nether King mods, like the Nether King remnants, these expensive ones. And then I was going to do a 4% chance to then either to hit all skills or the projection mod, whichever one we don't have. That was my plan for crafting this, and I wanted to make the GG one. So I do have here 40% additional cold damage and critical strike, which is, when projected, a 7% additional mod. Oh god, this thing is so annoying to like try and put back in though. There we go. It is a 7% additional mod, this additional cold damage on critical strike, which is not that amazing of like a mod, because it gets projected to being 7% additional cold damage. If we instead had cold skill levels or spell skill levels, it would then be projected as +1 cold or +1 spell, which is on its own 8% additional, but on top of it being 8% additional, it would also then either give levels for Frigid Domain, which means that this is like giving me extra value, or it would give extra levels from Mana Boil. So either way, no matter what I did, like it would have been like, you know, a decent but higher value than the 14% additional cold damage mod. I didn't actually fully calculate it out though, because obviously we do have this mod ×2, and we are copying it. You know, so that would be like 1.14 to the power of 2 times 1.07 to the power of 8. Just 2.2x. versus just plus levels, which would be that, but realistically it wouldn't be like 8% additional, it would be more like 8.5% additional, or most like 9% additional. So it's like very close, as you can see. It's the pain I would have to go through did not make it worth it. But that is something that I was thinking about doing. I thought it would be a really good idea to try and craft myself. Then I spent 40,000 FE, and we didn't even get to step 1 of just hitting like one of the mods, either this one or this one, and then trying to lock it. And at that point I said, fuck this. This is just a complete and utter waste of time. Like, I wasted so much FE. And I decided to start saving up to buy one pre-crafted. Let's see if we can find it. So I used the search filter. I was happy with either cold skill level, spell skill level, crit, or cold damage. They all have like different things that would make them good or bad. And then we obviously need +1 all. We need our projection mod. Oh god, the projection mod is being annoying. We needed our projection mod, and then, you know, the one I bought was 70k. There was one up that had like the spell crit, but I didn't like the fixed talent node. It was pretty shitty. And yeah, I mean, I just saw the cold damage one, which the cold damage one is better than the crit one, because I can just fix the crit with my talent tree and some micro kismets, you know, to cap out my crit, and this just ends up being like significantly better. Now, I know always when I do these videos, people fucking complain that I don't do mapping showcases. So I'm going to do some mapping while I talk a bit about the future of the build, some gripes I have, and like things I need to work on. The first thing is, you can probably see it already on your screen. I am slow as fuck. I have about 300 and I think 80% movement speed or 390% movement speed right now. Before we're at 430%, so going from 430 to like, or like we're 425, going from that to 390 feels pretty bad. I do have plans though. I'm working on a project called Project Movement Speed, and we are going to have over 500% movement speed when I'm done with this character. We're going to have movement speed on all 3 of our hero memories. That is something that I'm going to save up for and buy. And we're also going to have, we have like these full movement speed kismets. I'm going to buy an Undetermined with 4 micros full of movement speed, and then do 3 star trails. And this whole setup, once it's done, is going to give me another 52% movement speed. Also, Torchlight is kind of a game about luck. Oh god. Oh god, where am I getting taken? Interesting. Torchlight is a game of luck. So when I did this build swap, I had 559% elixir effect. Now for me to have 90 max res, like 90 max res with my tenacity dew, I needed 562% elixir effect. That's the amount that I needed to have 90 max res. So I was 3 elixir effect short, which in actuality, that 3% elixir effect is only 1.5%, because we have ×2 multi on elixir effect, due to like additional elixir effect sources. And thanks to that like very big problem that I did have to solve in the build and I did have to fix, I went looking for like Fallen Starlights that had this mod on it, that had this 8% elixir effect on it, and this Fallen Starlight was listed for an absurdly overpriced amount. It was elixir change gains charging progress and elixir skill effect. And the old one that I had for this was instead elixir kills gain charging progress and agility blessings on crit, which is like way better. This completely garbage Fallen Starlight that should not be expensive at all was listed for 2k FE. And the thing is I just happen to need it in my build. Like, I can't really replace the block ratio, I need that here, so this slate I can't like swap out. On the other one, I needed the, at the moment, it's eventually I'm going to be able to drop it, but at the moment I need this additional cast speed. So I only had one Starlight that I could realistically drop, that had the Elixir Skill Effect mod and the mod that I need on the Starlight, which is this Elixir Skin Charging Progress. So I fucking spent 2k FE buying this completely overpriced Starlight. And sometimes in this game you just get lucky. Sometimes you list an item omega overpriced and you just get lucky because someone just needs it for their build and they just have the FE and they just buy it even if it's overpriced. Because they don't want to wait for you to like lower the price or wait to find like a different item. They just want the item and just be done with it. And I kind of felt like that when I bought this Fallen Starlight. So good for that person. But yeah, I'm very excited for like the future projects on this character. I know there's the new Divine Ascent and like dragon pushing and stuff like that I could do this season. I'm pretty sure my build... I looked at like the rank 1 currently on EU and stuff. They're like 4.6 count the dragon. I'm pretty sure when I was looking at my build, I'm like 99% sure my build's better. Like it should have more damage in theory. Maybe at the end of the league, I'll consider like doing a damage setup instead of this movement speed setup. But I'm kind of bored of like just dragon pushing and like trying to go big number and stuff. I think the concept of just going for as much movement speed as possible is really fun to me. Because even right now, if I look at my slates and stuff, a lot of these slate mods that I have, I could replace for more movement speed. Like this is damage, this could be movement speed. This is damage, this could be movement speed. You know, and I think actually just like replacing everything I build into more movement speed and making a character that has like infinite movement speed is genuinely been really fun for me so far this season. And it feels really rewarding and good to play. Every time you get like a movement speed upgrade on your character, it feels really good. You know, it feels like your character just feels so much better when you get faster. And like every 30% movement speed, you really do feel the difference. It really is noticeable. So yeah, right now I'm just gonna farm up my Star Trials. I'm gonna farm up my Euro memories. And then after that, we'll see what the next plan is. There's also the worry of like eventually getting burnt out just from the fact that, you know, farming so much FE is kind of exhausting. I mean, it's like 2 weeks in and we're already at 567k FE. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling there, YouTube. I just wanted to make this video to give an update because it's been a while since we really changed anything in the build. And this was like a very exciting item for me. It's one of those items that when I saw it for the first time, like, I saw one listed like, I guess a week ago now. I just wanted to make it for myself and like, you know, have one in my own build. Because it's one of those items that I'm pretty sure is going to get like gutted next season. It won't exist anymore. And just like the old Magus ones, I just want to have one. I just want to be able to say that like I got to experience that. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and all the beautiful things. And I'll see you again another time. Bye-bye, YouTube. Bye-bye.